This episode of Trials and Trebuchets is brought to you by Fanroll Dice. If you're in the market for some new, top-notch dice, and who am I kidding, folks? We're all always on the prowl for some shiny rocks, then look no further than fanrolldice.com. Whether it's their bewitching liquid cores, a pack of trusty misfit medals, or even a set of oh-so-endearing miniature dice, you'll find anything you're looking for and more at fanrolldice.com. And don't forget to use our code TRIALS10 at checkout for 10% off your order of new little crit machines.
Welcome back to Conversations and Catapults. I'm your host, Nathan, and joining me today are some deal makers and hell shakers. Say hello, everyone.
I consider myself more of a hell shaker. Hi, my name is Ben, and I play lots of characters on the hit podcast Trials and Trebuchets, actually. I play like 3.
Notable character actor.
Here's my resume.
I'm none of those. I'm just a shaker. I just like shaking my booty. Integrity does. Hi, I'm Carla, and I play Integrity Adelberry from the hit show Trials and Trebuchets.
Well, I'll make a deal with you to have a great podcast recording. I'm Sarah, and I play Mira Marchand.
Hi, I'm Sam, and I'd like to say that I was a hellmaker in this podcast, Trials and Trebuchets.
And since we've gone through all the other permutations, I am
What are
Luke,
you doing here?
And I am the DM, and I am a deal shaker. Oh no, DM stands for deal maker. No, fuck.
You
Shouldn't have taken that one.
You're a
Anyways,
dungeon
Yeah,
maker.
you really fucked that one up.
Yeah.
Well, welcome everyone. That's right. It is the end of an arc, so we are having our traditional CNC wrap up where we finally let Luke sit at the cool kids table with the rest of us, and we talk about the arc as a whole, not just these last few episodes, though that we are going to touch on them especially. But we are here talking about one hell of a deal, a very brisk 16 episodes or so, right?
Yeah,
That
that's
is
totally
short.
what it was.
22.
A nice sub 23 episode, so it didn't beat our longest ever.
Little amuse-bouche of an episode.
Yeah, a little vignette of a season. you
Yeah,
could say.
we really got in, got out with a lot of time to spare.
Genuinely though, this has been not to, pat all of you on the back too hard, but this has easily been one of my favorite arcs, from beginning to finish, just in terms of the setup, the payoff, and also the setting. Everything in between has been A+. But I also know that it's easy to have a little bit more conflicting feelings regarding the thing that you took part in creating. So I wanted to ask our players and our DM, what are your roses and thorns for this arc as a whole?
Oh, so many roses is the tough thing. It's very hard to pick one.
Are the roses dead?
I'm going to jump in here
Yeah.
and take one
Oh.
off the table. Yeah, that's right. My rose was Boobalero.
Yes.
Oh, a very good rose.
Ben, you named a character who we only heard boob jokes. And then by the end, we had tragic fan art. We had people
Yes.
crying over Boo's death.
Truly.
It is insane that it started out with us going boob, and then later CNCs being the thing is that Boo at his core is always a cow.
Yeah.
It reminds me very much of that visual of, I was like, oh, this is your second character, and they're a complete utter joke. They look like a clown. And then by the 59th session or something, it's no, you have to go on without me or something like that. And it's so tragic and serious, and it's how did we get here?
So good.
I'm going to give a free rose. This doesn't count as my real rose, which I'm holding close to my chest. Also to Ben, who I think also, you can tell this by the CNC, had and also like the conversations. While there are like some ambiguities as to Boo's backstory, I think his motivation and his driving like character was never like in shadow or in doubt. And I think, Ben, you had a really strong concept of who Boo was going in, and it made for a very an amazing shake up to the normal party dynamic, which was really fun to prep for. It was really fun to watch as the DM while stuff unfolded.
It was really fun to play in the same space as also.
Oh, absolutely.
Like having Boo around sort of brought out like more inter-party conflict, which was like not to be seen like with like Swim, where we mostly get along.
There's like small bits of it elsewhere, but not in this big of.
This is why this is my job. This is what I want to do, and I feel like I succeeded.
You did. You 100% did.
This is the Ben, not to call it formulaic, Ben, you my good friend, but this is the Ben formula of make a character, they die. Second character, I'm gonna fuck the party over or do something to make everyone argue. It's the way he goes, and it's good. I really enjoy it. My Rose, divorced from that completely. All the hot devils in this arc.
I thought only one of them was hot.
No, they're every single one. Even if I didn't say it, all of them are hot.
Damn, the fact that you're saying that after the fact, you know, I could have been picturing them all as hot in my head this whole time.
Damn. Really a skill issue on your part.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, when Galvin turned into that big mountain of eyeballs,
Oh my god.
Just like you had a fan in your face.
Yeah.
I think, well, I have several, but I think that my Rose is going to be, I really loved the coin setup. I loved Celty setting up like the situation where we were necessarily going to have to betray this guy in order to get Winsler back. You know, obviously, like we've already said, Ben knocked it out of the park, creating a character who was perfect for being betrayed in this setup, which is to say that he was kind of an asshole, but also fundamentally like a pretty innocent, okay guy, which both makes it easy to, in the moment, justify killing him, but also very morally hard to actually sit with. Learning what the coin did after we killed Boo was fantastic. You know, props to Luke for setting that up, for making it an even tougher situation about, you know, deciding whether to give it back to Celty in the end. Loved us immediately seeing what happens when we use it. Like, loved that whole setup. Also just loved duplicity, loved the setting, loved all of it. This was a great arc.
I was just gonna say that is like my Rose, actually. The environment, the building of the setting. Props to Luke to that. There's just like every single place is so dynamic, very true to the different fiends, and some of them, it's like I did not anticipate that was going to be what their, you know, like their locale would be. There's like the setup of who they are as individuals, but then actually going into their domains, and I'm like, that is not what I anticipated them to be. So that was like very good. I really enjoyed that. And it was toit, everything.
It was
so toit.
I'm happy to hear that. I'm glad to hear that the setting was fun throughout, and I'm really happy to build off of you, Sarah's Rose, with the we've had other arcs where there's like a MacGuffin, and I've been very the entire podcast at large is nominally MacGuffin-y, but I think this is the best one yet, because we started from a premise of there's something you're going to need to get. It's this thing. It's mysterious. This other character wants it. Everyone seems to want it. Where is it? So this person has it. We have it. What does it do? Right? Getting into that kind of like, we're about to die situation, so Mira has to use it, right? And then finding out what it does, creating that final conflict. That was super unforeseen for me, was the final conflict of like, do we give this to Celty? Do we betray Celty in this moment? That was like, for me, Nathan, we talked about this in the last one, but like that's like a very secret last minute like twist to things, and it didn't go that way, but it was very exciting for it to like creep up to the edge of going that way.
I really am kind of building with, because I know Carla was talking about, you know, environment stuff. This is gonna sound weird. I liked how alive duplicity was.
Yeah.
Given the fact that how many like everyone like either dead and imprisoned, or people who were kind of visiting the afterlife in Lem. But like it just, I don't know, like having like a betting house be the setting made it feel, because like, you know, like making deals, like that's sort of a thing that people will kind of say, like the deal with the devil, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I just really enjoyed like the fact that we got to like kind of see how the place works in different levels of like importance, like going from like the very like the really kind of dodgy
like the taxi
small
cab drivers.
Yeah,
to like the high up managers.
The driver to like the lowest betting table to the highest betting to like the different areas of entertainment that you can go to. Like it always felt like there was so much going on, like from the place working fine to the chaos that happened whenever we did something. It was just it was always moving. I really liked that.
I'm so glad to hear that.
Like gameplay wise, it was a dungeon crawl, basically, is what it was. Like basically Duplicity was a giant dungeon, but it managed to feel so alive and enthusiastic and exciting throughout all of it. So it didn't feel like we're just going from one thing to the next.
Populate your dungeons.
Yeah, it's so interesting that you say, oh, it's a dungeon crawl. This is the dirty secret of Trials and Trebuchets, is that every single thing is a dungeon crawl.
What?
And it's just kind of disguised, kind of good sometimes, and other times kind of bad sometimes. But the entire thing is a dungeon crawl completely. So I'm happy to hear that those elements shown through and were fun.
Yeah.
As in the past I haven't. My thorn, if I can take the floor. I have 2 thorns. I hope that I'm allowed to do that. I'm sorry.
You gotta choose one. No, you can choose however many thorns you want, as long as it's no more than 3.
Okay, perfect. Okay, one of my thorns is I feel like these 2 are kind of. I'm going to say them in a not serious way, but I do have serious feelings about them. I kind of feel like I blew my wad with the Avarice fight coming first, because that was by far, I think, the coolest one. There was some tension with the horse fight. The Gallivan fight was bleh, take it or leave it, because it was supposed to be a gamble and not a fight, really. But the Avarice fight, like fighting him, being on the cages, trying to evoke the crowd to help the ghosts in the cages, people flying around, a phoenix rising from the magma, it being like super cool like that, and then I think that's just dramatic and was really fun to build up to, especially with the initial prompt of like, you're hired as assassins, like we're completely off script right now, you're just killing a man, right? And that kind of like dominoed into the rest of the arc, but maybe doing that one not first would have, or maybe to make the first one a bit less cool. I don't know, because it definitely starts the arc with some momentum. I have mixed feelings on it. That's why it's a thorn. The other one, which I alluded to in that little rant right there, I really wish there was more gambling and better thematic, being on theme better. I sent this as a message in our group chat, but I'll repeat it here. Of Ben at like episode the horse fight was like, oh, here's a gambling term that none of you have ever heard of. Let's call the episode that. So we did, which was like what the fuck was it?
Double up, double through.
Double up, double through.
Thank you. Maybe you guys heard that. Maybe I'm just dumb, but I really wish we had hammered home the theming a little bit harder and done some more gambling. That would have, I think, made it better and a bit fuller. Even though the place was apparently very lively and realized, but I feel like amping up the gambling vibe would have been made it more fun, I think.
I think maybe
Fascinating.
if the Galvin did end up becoming a gambling thing, maybe that would, I feel like too much gambling might, I guess, in what form of gambling it
absolutely.
would be.
We can't just sit here doing mini games all day.
Yes,
I agree.
Yes.
As fun as that would be. I guess for me, like I said, tons of roses, really liked this arc. I guess for me, I wish the theme of trying to address the exploitation was handled in a bit more detail. When you Duplicity is like an incredibly bleak and pessimistic world, and that is totally, it's hell, it should be, I'm totally fine with that. But I think that's great to play with. I guess I just wish that our choices trying to help people, if that didn't mean something, I wish that could have been addressed head on. The fact that it didn't, because we kill the Fiend of Avarice, we free all those people, they're immediately recaptured, we kill the Fiend of Whimsy, and then the place immediately starts flooding. And I wish we had more of either a moment or an opportunity to make some kind of more big systemic change, get more people to boats, or if we can't, that was more directly addressed as a theme, the house always wins, that sort of thing. I guess it's okay if a story about dismantling unjust systems ends in failure. I guess I wish that there was more of a focus though on whether we could or couldn't dismantle the system.
It's like a thing that keeps being brought up by Mira and just generally at large by the things that are happening, and then it just fades off into the background very quickly in a very unsatisfying way.
That being said though, like I said, I really did enjoy the arc. If I had to pick a thorn, that would be my one, but I really had fun here.
I have a thorn. Diana. What's up with her?
Yo, Carl, I'm so glad you said it, because that was my thorn as well. I want you to go, 'cause I don't want to...
haters.
like,
It's because I look at the restricted section too much.
I mean, I haven't been on restricted section, so this might not be informed by that.
Wow.
But it's just like built up to be this like I'm an angel to the same like ability as Horst. I'm here to protect, and she's just like, I can't do anything.
Diana really is like the weakest character in this entire arc.
Yeah.
It's like, thank you for healing my arm, but are you going to save us or something?
Diplin was a better ally for the forces of good. than
Yes.
For
Diana.
sure.
Yeah, that's the truth.
I'm not gonna speak any
Wait.
more further about that. It's just that.
You know, I'm a sucker for the forces of good, like a divine force of capital G good.
Yeah.
And so when Deanna was like, I'm a wet blanket, I was like, what angel are you? A traumatized one.
Yes.
To be sure.
I think
However,
I think that to explain some of Deanna's wet blankness, and let me tell you guys, as the dungeon master, as the person who was like, I made this character, I put her in your path, I want her to be cool, and she sucked so hard.
Oh no! We didn't really give her a
like,
chance.
I'm
to.
sorry.
I feel as though I should have. When she started to be like not getting anything done and kind of falling apart, I feel like I should have really hammered home the kind of like feeling of her. There's little vignettes of it, but again, it's one of these things that more emphasis is desired on like she is deeply traumatized and is really fucked up right now. So even addressing when Mira's like, oh, you should stay here and fix it. Like she doesn't really give like a concrete reason. She just kind of freaks out and is like, why would I do that? Right. And so that's like kind of like, she's very like dodgy and very shit in terms of getting things done. Very not angelic.
Over exaggeration.
Yeah, absolutely.
She's just scrungly.
she is
A
very
lot of
scrungly.
scrungly folks at this arc.
Yeah, she's introduced just being like a wet hen, like as she comes out of this like ice
Tripping
block
over
or
her own 2 feet like every 2 step.
God.
All right, now I know why people
feel
like her
bad
so
for her,
much. I
yeah.
guess the more that we say like how much she sucks,
Oh my
the more I'm
god,
like,
she's
all right,
so
I get it.
pathetic.
Her sucking was a thematic choice. Honestly, it was a lot of shitty die rolls, honestly. Truly. Since she featured heavily in episodes with a lot of combat, it just became her kind of sucking throughout
Didn't
it.
she get like
And
only
getting-
one hit in, and that was against like Galvin?
She only hit him after you guys had already killed him and turned him into an eyeball. Won the
Right.
fight. and
Okay.
she just
So
got the
it
last strike.
required
A symbolic
it required
She's dumb.
Exactly.
the target to
exactly.
be a corpse in order for her to actually hurt something.
Whenever Swim plays video games with Deanna, they just hand her an unplugged controller. And then she
sibling.
doesn't
God.
press any buttons. She says, "What do you want me to do with this?"
Little
I don't know
sibling
the
energy.
Oh.
Damn.
Ben, Sam, do you two have any thorns?
I guess my only thorn would probably be like including Deanna. I guess.
Yeah.
I guess would probably just be like the pacing a little bit.
Yeah.
There were some parts where like, oh, this could be probably a little shorter, or this could be a
Yes.
little longer and more in depth. That's pretty much it, really.
Yeah. This could have been at most, probably 17, 16 episode arc. There's some sludgy bits in it, definitely.
But that always happens. Like, it's just the nature
Yeah.
of a TTRPG, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I was just about to say, because like I think my thorn kind of falls in the same line as Ben in this case, because I think I don't think there was any particular moment that I really had a thought of, we're still, because I thought like we were gonna I'm trying to remember. I just think there were just a couple of parts. I think some parts happened really, really fast. I think it kind of tried to balance itself out in that way, because we were like talking about something for long enough that we were like, okay, next up, like I think for instance like in investigating the Fiend of Avarice's room, kind of stuff like
Yes.
that, versus
Where you guys made a plan and then immediately got nabbed.
yeah, like
Yes.
going to do that stuff, like versus like us having like a long conversation in like one spot. I think we sort of, and I think that's more on us just being like, we need to like get this detail down to the point. And then in my head, the time, like real time is still going in the world itself. So I'm like, man, we're having this really long conversation right now, and we're just standing in the middle of the casino.
Yeah. Some of those things, like the Avarice's Goonies, goons, not Goonies, grabbing you guys, is like a fun little convergence of my planning already being like, oh, they have ways to know if people cheat. And then you guys being like, we're going to get nabbed. And since they were already looking for cheaters and you guys were like, we're going to get got by security, it was just like a fun convergence of things went very quickly. There's a lot of some of the worst moments in this show are moments when people are just talking about nothing for a long time and not moving.
Yeah.
To be fair, I think we have started to be like, while we're walking here, we're going to have this conversation. Like, we're starting to put that in at least.
Yeah. I just assume you guys are going places when you're doing things, except for the occasional moment when I want to make a joke, which is probably to the detriment of the pacing. I can think back to Trading Places. You guys have like a 20-minute conversation, and then you're like, I was like, oh, do you guys want to go up the elevator? And then Sarah, you're like, what the fuck? We weren't going up the entire time? Like moments like that, right? Bog down the pacing. Sometimes it's fun. Sometimes it's not. But I definitely agree. There's a lot of like sludgy conversational bits, which are important, but
yeah, absolutely.
could have been better paced. That's the nature of the beast.
It's kind of like if you're reading something and it's like if something is like just kind of put in between lines kind of thing, like maybe something happens, like someone like it's just little things.
Definitely.
Then it kind of helps break it up a bit instead of having it be like no paragraphs, us all just line after line talking.
A thing happens, we all talk about it, then something else happens once we're finished, as opposed to it being like an interruption or events that happen while you're talking about the things. Definitely.
Now that we
Nathan.
have, yes,
Luke.
did you have something to ask me? Because I was about to say this is a fun reversal of roles.
You gave us a fun rose. I was wondering if you had any thorns as like an outside observer.
You know what? I said I'm piggybacking off of the Deanna thorn of, listen, I like it when the forces of good are competent.
Yeah.
And knowing like, hey, all of the angels were wiped out. And I may be misrepresenting / misremembering that. So that is my bad if so.
No, that's true.
No?
They all got fucking killed.
Yeah, all of the angels got wiped like chumps off screen. And like they don't, the last one doesn't do anything to help anyone. Like a very mortal angel. But that also is just like a very personal taste thing, right? Like that is genuinely like just something that I don't think that I would actually change because it is, it's a you thing. It's not a exactly. So I think it's fun to see like your fingerprints on the story here in that way, which is really nice.
Nathan's camera keeps glitching off while they're saying that, and like this bright, shining, angelic light keeps.
I just want you and the listeners at home. Nathan only hates Deanna. That Deanna sucks is because they're being persuaded by angels in front of their window.
No, I think it's the angels just watching over them to be like, hey, if you say shit about us,
Angels have a gun
we're
to their
taking out
head.
your corneas.
Yeah.
Deanna's got shooters out here.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, but I love Boobalero. But another fun thing is we got to see the plane of Lim for the
Yeah.
first time, or like be in it, and so I had to like ask. All right, we've had a few trips to Isithil now. And
Love it.
We've gotten to see a lot more of Isithil than we did of Lim because we only saw Duplicity.
Yes.
I just have like some quick lore questions that I personally need
Oh
to
my
get
god,
through
the
and cut
sparkle in
these.
Luke's eye.
The audience doesn't know, but I wait longingly. Do you know the moments where one of you, most often it's Sarah, who goes, my character wouldn't know this, but I'm very curious if X. It happened the other episode because when you went, I am very curious. Is this person Celty's looking at the person who took Winsler? I was like, no, but great question. Very similar. I love when you guys actually ask, not actually ask, because you ask a lot of questions. We do a lot of stuff through environmental storytelling and passive storytelling. But when there's like something very clear that one of you guys is like interested in and just asks and make a connection, it always lightens my heart up. I love answering questions. Anyways, Nathan, your list of questions. Let's get to them.
All right, Lim, hell
Yes.
analog, yes.
Yeah, the hells.
Does everyone go to hell when they die?
That's a very great question. The Wharf of the Woeful and the Wicked, or the Wharf of the Wicked and the Woeful, kind of like the purgatorial place. And then people who aren't really worshiping anyone else go to Lem. People who, like, if you were to think a level 20 cleric of S-Star, no, they're going to S-Star. It's very easy, simple sorting process. But if you're unaccounted for, unwanted by the other gods, Lem will take you. Lem has uses for you.
Damn.
My question,
Yes.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm just curious,
Yes.
people, for example, clerics of Lem, people who worship Lem, are they treated differently upon arrival than just people who are the runoff who Lem is like, sure, fine?
Special people to Lem get put in the chalice. and get to have
Ooh.
conversations with Lem.
That's who they are.
So
Yes, that is why Winsler got put in the chalice.
So why Winsler is loved and closely
Because you guys are
watched?
doing a lot of stuff relating to deities with power and where their power came from, if whether or not they deserve it or not. And I think the deities probably, it's in their vested interest to pay attention to people who make a lot of mischief and might be poking around asking questions of, is their power really theirs and should they keep it? That is the reason Lem and probably the others, after you guys bugged Isithil a couple times,
Yes.
tried to steal her power, that's probably why they pay attention,
No one tried to
and had a
steal
bet
her
going.
power.
Oh, excuse me? Do we need to talk about Ferdinand again? We can't keep talking about that.
I hope that answers your question. And if you're curious, here's another thing. The reason why the Wharf of the Woeful and the Wicked hasn't seen people in a really long time, this is a question that lots of people ask. You might recall this from Shake and Break when the two of you went there, Integrity and Mira,
Yes.
or rather Sarah and Carla. The reason that didn't happen is because the changeover made it so no one went through the like when they stopped using the rivers, it meant that they'd stopped using the purgatorial plane, and so the dead went straight to their planes instead of going to the purgatorial plane.
That's pretty
Fascinating.
sad. What about the businesses there?
That's the entire point. That's why it's in decay.
Yeah, it's like, when Route 66 was built, a lot of small towns that were,
I've seen cars.
built on-
Yeah.
Yeah. But all of this, all right, which then leads me, you talked about Lim being interested, like the deities watching.
Yes.
The our core four, the mischief makers, as it were, they're placing bets on who is going to die first. Like
Lem specifically is, and some of the other
I was about to
fiends.
I just assumed that he was placing bets with other gods. It's the betting house of the gods, not just of Lim.
Other deities no longer bet with Lem after they took the fucking plane from Rel. That is canonical fact.
Makes sense.
Lem does fraternize with the lesser fiends, like his little managers and such, and has like little meetings and goes like, I think the warlock's gonna die first, and then the fiend of chance goes, tough luck.
Well, I have a question regarding Lim, which is, was there anything that you were really hoping that Winsler would ask during that talk? / like, Ben, was there anything that you were like, I, the player, want to know this, but I don't know if Winsler would ask it?
I really fucking loved, I didn't expect it. I didn't expect Ben to ask, what's your end game, bro? But he did, and I really appreciated that. And I got to do like a little, this is what I want. I want people to be happy. I want people to make jokes. And then I also want to be the one god in charge of everything, right? But, we'll see how that one I didn't expect Ben to ask that, but I'm very glad he did. Other than that, I don't know. I was worried he was going to ask a very nebulous question that I would have to like fuck around and find an answer for. Like, what's the meaning of all of this? Why do we live and die? And I was not prepared for some shit like that,
Absolutely fair.
I think I asked a lot of the questions that I wanted to ask. Like, it was in the moment, and I wasn't really prepared to have a conversation with Lem at that moment. But in the short time that I had to ask these questions, I'm glad it was that, because I feel like if we could like have like an inkling of understanding about what's going on in deity land, then it would be pretty helpful, I think, especially with what we're kind of doing and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So
big picture.
What you're doing, like, without even, it seems like, you all realizing it. Like, the interesting thing is, like, you all are pawns on the board, and you are being moved without your knowledge even. I know that it was supposed to be like, the disciple is like looking at the progress they're making. That just felt so sinister to me as like...
Yeah, but I also think you as a person, Nathan, view the disciple as incredibly sinister as their innate form, if I recall anything from Trading Places. I think there's a tendency to view them as sinister, possibly as this looming presence on the moon who just watches over everything.
Our first fucking encounter with them is them just fucking turning
turning-
Great into another giant without fucking Great's consent, without asking.
Yeah.
Just, you're gonna die and be reborn. Congrats. That is sinister. That is objectively a sinister thing to do.
That's a fair point. Sarah. That's a great point. I'm gonna reframe my vision or my view as the dungeon master who's like, look at this lovely little snake with wings. They love giants. They love them. You're right. It is kind of sinister. I definitely. The like pawns on the chessboard thing is definitely like, I feel as though the party is like trying their best to eschew that kind of like control being exerted on them by external forces, and especially now as we grow more powerful and powerful, that will become easier and easier. So I hope the feeling is less like pawns on the chessboard. They're here for and forward, especially like after rescuing someone from hell and kind of like breaking the rules really strongly in that way and bringing someone back. But yeah.
Like the fact that we did the exact same ceremony that killed 3 of our friends, and now we are able to
Now we
do
did it without problem.
With just 3 of you.
That
yeah.
was a very fun like yardstick for our magical progress, I think.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
But also, Luke, what would have happened if they all rolled bad?
If they all
Winsler
rolled
just
bad?
Died.
Yeah. Do they die, or does Winsler just stay dead?
They would have each taken 10d12 psychic damage if they had failed the DC,
Good
which
thing they long rested first.
I used the exact same DC as the original one because I was like, if I change it, that's kind of bullshit, even though they leveled up, because it is a good yardstick of how strong you guys are. And so it was 24 lowered by 4 for every successful plea they made, which just brought it down perfectly to 12. And so Mira just fucking made it, or else she would have gotten like brain evaporated.
Damn.
Which I don't know if it would have killed her, but that's a lot of damage.
10d12, average of 60, right? She has
Yeah.
82 hit points. She probably
It's a coin flip.
iffy.
Imagine Ma seeing us like, okay, we're gonna thank you for the rest, and then like maybe
Especially since
let's
Mira's
say
like,
not
we
even
can
like
bring him back.
like not even like 10 minutes later, Ma, where's the first aid kit?
She's fucking dead.
Ma, she died.
We need another sarcophagus.
People really loved that Maw scene. I loved that Maw scene.
was really good.
personally.
Oh yeah.
It was so heartbreaking.
It's so nice to see our characters' roots because, like, them being in this magical school, by definition, they're going to be, like, removed from the things that, like, make them who they are, or also the people who care about them as people rather than as, like, fellow students or friends, etc. Like, being able to see that, I thought was a great moment that honestly really made Winsler's death hit home more for me. As like just seeing how they're trying to get by without him. Because that's the thing that we don't think about. Like we think about the funeral, which is very sad. Then it is the days after, which are very hard. Is that like that is what really struck me. But he's back, baby.
He's back.
He made it.
He's back. And God, now you all are back at Wildcliff. I know that this is not technically one hell of a deal. It's the first episode of Homecoming, but you know, I figured that this CNC will come out probably after that, right?
Yes, that is correct.
Perfect. So I did want to have a quick question to ask the players here about, we had this fun time skip and you all were asked like what your characters were planning on doing. I would love to hear like what were your motivations behind the choices that you made for your characters during this time skip, like because I found it so interesting, like, and I could do like my own little like armchair analysis.
Please.
I'll do it after I hear your actual answers, and then I'll change what I think.
Yeah, so that you're always right, coming on top. The house always wins.
That's right. That's what we're gonna name this episode. We finally got to name an episode. The house always wins.
Thank you. We said it as a
Perfect.
quote of the episode.
Yeah,
we
it
could use
counts.
it. It's been a week, and I have short-term memory problems. Was Mira meeting up with Syndra to discuss the plans. Integrity got her magic
with
items.
Kurt?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then Winsler checking in on the Druid book and Ava and Kyra, and then Serenup's birthday party. Yes.
Yeah, Ben, I want to start with you if that's all right, because I would love to hear you, like, because this is our first like scene of like truly Winsler getting back after like the Dessa stuff, like his first real solo thing, and I thought it was very interesting that you followed up on the like. It's not surprising, but I also wanted to hear your like thought process behind. All right, I have 7 weeks. The scene that I want to focus in on is this.
Well, it's been a long ass time since we went and planted that fucking book.
Yeah.
I'd like to see if there was any progress at all.
God. Imagine what a fucking monstrous move I would. A bad, to be clear,
It
a
has
bad
not
DM
grown.
move. If I was like, no, it hasn't happened yet.
That would be so mean. But I mean, I feel like that was the one thing in my head that's just like, oh yeah, I want to check in with that.
And how do you feel with the results of that check-in?
I feel like we could follow the path that has been laid out from this
Weird little.
weird little cryptic message. It might be important for something.
That would be crazy.
It would be something cool to follow up on if we ever went back to Isithil,
That would be crazy.
which I think we probably will at some point.
Isithil will always grab us.
A little bit, yeah.
Isithil has its own like gravity that is just constantly pulling everyone towards it.
True.
Oh yeah.
It is the secret to druidic magics, divine magics. Seems like it would be important.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Maybe. With the whole druid being a plot hook thing that's been strung along for 4 fucking years, unfortunately. It'd be crazy if it continued to be some sort of plot hook.
Imagine if I just like got that book planted and then never went back to check it
grow
ever.
into an evil tree and come kill Winslow.
Oh, that's what's happening with the tree. Got it. Nice.
But I'd love to hear like the other motivations behind like, you know, people's scenes that we had there.
I just thought it would be fun. Like,
Yes.
I mean, that sounds reductive. But
Fair enough.
Like, I think that it makes sense that Mira, you know, these people do not trust Crow now. Mira is in like a stage of her life where she is not enjoying just like waiting around for things to happen to her. She's going to take action directly. So being proactive in this and being like, we are going to start a club, you know, with this smoke screen of being a school newspaper with the explicit purpose of like spying on Crow and trying to do action against the stuff that's happening on campus.
Yes.
I think makes sense for where Mira's at as a person. I just think that Syndra's a really fun character, and I thought she would be both, you know, narratively make sense and just be fun to have around for this. I was also thinking on the meta level, like, great way to get some of the Patreon NPCs sort of into the game. I just thought it would be a fun scene, and I'm excited to see where that goes.
Absolutely. I also thought it was really neat just in terms of like Mira seeing like, you know, coming out of Lim and being the like proponent of like, we need to take care of these people. Like, and then taking that gung ho, like, fuck, I'm fighting for what is right here.
Yeah.
You know, what is ontologically right, which means extra right.
Extra right, yeah.
The fun thing for me was I was like, hey, players, you're going to have 10 weeks of downtime, and we still have another episode where we're going to deal with the aftermath of the birthday party and then see a couple other vignettes, and then we'll move on to something more fun. But I was like, you have 10 weeks. If you guys have any ideas for what you want to do, let me know. And I already had in my notes was like, Syndra is going to go and meet with Mira to discuss, and it was just going to be up front, completely no smokescreen kind of thing, and probably in that way become very become immediately come to the attention of Crow and him try to do something about it. But Sarah then messaged me and was like, I want to meet with Syndra. And I was like, oh, perfect. This is going to go great. So then when they meet together, that's why Syndra's like, oh, I wanted to meet with you. And then the whole like, let's do a newspaper and make it like a kind of like under some sort of like
a
cover
front
kind of thing. Yeah.
Which is
front
great
for, like,
because
what we're actually doing.
I'm sure this will also come to Crow's attention, but a school newspaper Crow can use, right? So
Yes.
you know, we can fly under the radar
Exactly.
for a little bit.
It makes it much more interesting, and I really appreciate the convergence of choices and ideas. It is always nice when that happens.
Yes.
God, yeah. The man who loves to keep tabs on all of the students having all of the information in one easy to read packet of paper? Hell yeah.
Sign them up. Sign them up for the yearly subscription.
Carla, what are the magic items you're analyzing?
So
There's a deep question behind that.
So I wanted to like wait. Did you ask me to repeat what they were or?
You can say what they were, but
Okay.
why?
So I wanted to get like a longer or an actual thing to hold my new blade, but that one is not really a magic item. It's just like something cool that I would be like, that's pretty nice in the main outfit. But I also asked for a better armor and bracers.
Yes.
And
the meta note here. Sorry to interrupt you, Carla, but the meta note here is Carla went through the magic items and was like, I want the bracers of defense. And I was like, okay, sure. You'll have to pay for them or whatever. And then right before we recorded, I read it and was like, fuck. This has a stipulation where you can't wear armor with it. I was like, okay, they're not going to be +2. They're just going to be +1, and you're still going to have to pay full price for them. So that's it. That's all. That's the meta note.
Gotcha.
that was a stipulation that I was shocked by. And also the price is engorged. So what's up with like 1,200 gold pieces?
Magic is...
But to answer your question, Nathan, before Luke
Thank you.
interrupted, I think it's more so like now that we have Winsler back and just like with how the fight went with
Horst.
Not Horst. Well, Horst, but also with
Henrietta.
like with Henrietta
Our Lady
when
of the Deep.
Winsler passed away. Like there's just like this there's like this part of integrity of like having like feeling that there's like this sense of responsibility to protect the people that she cares about, and she is not able to do that if she's not like strong or powerful or can't protect herself, because then like how can I help if I'm like on the ground dying?
Yeah.
So I think it's both like a decision made based on like what is reasonable for Integrity to think, considering all the things that has happened recently, but also in a meta sense, like for as a player, it's like I'm a melee fighter, right? Like I like sneak attack. I need to be up close, and
Yeah.
sometimes I get got. Wait,
Yeah.
what's
Especially know that there's no Boobalero there
yeah.
to give you sneak attacks and also be another target in melee. Like,
Yeah.
there's a bunch of fights where Integrity just gets absolutely bodied because she's just right next to folks. It's a trend, honestly. Henrietta, the corruption fight, fucking Horst, right? Like, she just gets bodied easily. Pumping up that AC, that's what we all play this game. We love playing game. We love the rules. I like when the numbers are high. It's really fun.
like yeah, like I just wanna like go side by side with like obviously like improving like her stats and like her ability to fight, just like how creative she can get with, you know, like that sneak attack bonus, but also having like a safeguard, like a protection for herself in case that doesn't work out.
She's securing her own mask before helping other people with theirs. Makes sense. And also, though, Carla, if I could offer a little bit of like optimization advice. The key thing to
I
do
love this
here-
segment. This is a new segment of CNC.
The key thing to do here, and players at home, listen close, especially those of you who are like being able to play in person with your DM or stuff like that. There are certain dice that don't have 20s on them. Just sneak all of those into Luke's collection. They have like 2 1s instead of a 1 and a 20. They, just keep on like. The key is to make sure he rolls low.
Yeah.
Your numbers can stay the same. We need to fuck with him. You need to keep your eye on power and who has it. And the who has it are the amoral gods deciding what happens in this universe, aka the fucking dice. That's why all D&D players love them. Anyways, let's talk about this fucking birthday party, shall we?
Yeah, fucking Philip is here.
Sickest party. Oh my god.
Maisel.
I
Philip, I haven't seen you in ages.
Can I be real? I thought it was gonna be Corinna for a moment. I was like,
Oh,
I was like,
yes.
I don't know what she's about to do. I think that might be her. I was not. You literally hit me with that, and I was like, I don't have a reaction. What? Hi.
Yeah, Karina Lindemann is gonna be notably absent from this until a moment of my deciding so. You guys can use your magical wiles to try to find her, and I will come up with equal magical wiles to hide her.
She's just pissed.
That's
She
the
doesn't want
arc,
to be near
folks.
anybody.
Yeah.
We
She
don't
hasn't
know.
squashed her beef. I'm glad that you were surprised by it. I thought I was being very obvious with my setup, but the Philip Maisel returns is always like a fun thing, and him being
What?
just such a little fucking weirdo.
What made you decide now is the time?
Because I thought the birthday party was excellent.
Because it was her birthday. Happy birthday. Here's your boyfriend.
It's a good. What's the word? The timing works out perfectly. I was planning for Philip to return after probably 2 to 4 weeks into the spring semester. And since we're doing a big time skip, it makes sense for him to show up, obviously, during that time. The timing worked out great. And then Sam, during the thing where I was like, send me what scenes you want to do. And Sam was like, Sarah's birthday's during this thing. We didn't do anything last time because we were all new to the game and scared to do things like that. Can we do that now? And I was like, yeah, absolutely, we can do that now. And I was like, this is perfect. This is great. This is a great time to reintroduce the most loved character in the entire podcast, Philip Maisel,
The Gollum boy.
the Gollum boy.
No, yeah, like I think because like again, like the big thing was that like when when her first birthday was happening, well, not her first, but like her first birthday
When
of
she
the
was
podcast.
born
When
last
she was
year.
born. I'm 1 year old, but
Yeah.
but like new to the school, didn't really know
Yes.
everybody, like getting on my feet.
Yeah.
With even being in a
Absolutely.
podcast with you guys,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, yeah, let's just go into the game. Let's go.
Yeah.
But given what has, the stress of getting Winsler back, the wanting to have like a lot of normalcy for once.
Normalcy.
That's why she was like, yeah, I want like my friends there. Of course, like no Dellis is involved and is going to be a part of this because like Sarah views Dellis as a friend. So
I was about to say, is she not your friend?
no, she's absolutely my. I like Sarah has gone to things to hang out with Dellis at this point. Like Sarah is like you're my friend now.
Yeah, notable friend.
Yeah,
of
and
the
then
group. Delness.
and then you were
Nothing
like,
more, nothing
how
less.
like who else do you want to invite? I'm like, those are the only people I can think of.
Everyone.
Everybody's invited. Let's go.
So
All
when
the
you
first
said that,
years.
a part of me was like, okay, I don't have really specifics of what you want to happen in this birthday party, and I really wanted to force Arior into something somewhere,
Yes.
somehow, some way. It didn't work out. The logistics weren't there. I'm sorry to everyone for that failure. I know we all are waiting for him.
Absolutely.
Been in the wings for so long.
The Arior heads are coming.
Yeah.
I was like, there's like, I'm horrible with names.
They're
so
polling
at
at
that point, I was
1%.
like,
More in Alaska.
I was like, I can remember the A names.
Yeah.
I can do it with the A names pretty well. Let me think. Actually, because like I think in each team there's a couple of people that I'm like, you guys are cool, and then I was realized why not just all the first years, and then then like the main like team gets a +1. They can invite someone else that they want to.
Yeah.
Dallas
'Cause
was
they all
already
have
invited. So
+1s.
that would have been like a big crowd. Sarah's room is not that big.
Is it a college party where like like red Solo cups, just like very crowded?
No, because it's fancy, so they use crystal Solo cups.
Okay.
How is she affording fancy cups?
Oh,
She doesn't have
Oh,
parents anymore.
Nathan, you're putting the cart before the horse. We have another set of vignettes coming up. Don't you worry.
All right.
I kind of imagined it as it wasn't really like I'm going to have a huge party happen. It was more like I just want people to hang out with this evening
People
for my
around.
birthday.
together.
So let's all get together.
It's casual.
Here's my question for all of the other players. What did your character get Serenep for her birthday this year?
That's so important. Yeah. Let me get my notebook. Wait, no one say
Also,
anything.
like, Luke, feel free to tell me an NPC. Like, what did Philip get Serenep?
Arior would have given you a mounted goat head on a plinth.
Ooh,
Great.
That's insane. I love it.
that's going over the fireplace.
It's so wild to be like, I know you don't have any taxidermied animals, but you seem like a real taxidermied animal type.
Well, that's the thing. She doesn't have any, so she needs one.
She must need one.
Here's a good starter taxidermied animal, which is a goat head.
Listen, there's one in the restricted section, so I know you're used to them.
Like how I imagined happened is like because like I mentioned like Serenep was like, hey, let's just hang out. Like didn't tell anyone it was her birthday. Someone fucking spilled the beans and was like, hey, are you guys going to Serenep's birthday party thing happening? I was like, that's a birthday? Oh shit, we
And
have
then
to
everyone
find
rushes
something.
to get gifts. What does everyone get Serenep?
A statue that is also a paperweight.
Oh,
What's
so-
it up?
Nice.
All statues are paperweights.
Yeah,
What's
but
the
this one's
statue of?
specifically meant to be a paperweight.
That's
What's the
cool.
statue of though?
Sereneth.
Aww.
Serenep looks like, how did you get this? How did like? Cause
It's
like,
conjuration.
oh, you're right. I was about to say like, I didn't pose for you. What?
Also, there's like brass everywhere.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
Sarah, you had one?
I think Mira, with some spare time, still some contacts in the embroidery club, things like that, had some friends help her and made Serenep a little custom pair of earrings with like a little clay dangly design that look like little amethysts.
That's so fucking cute.
That's so nice.
that.
Yeah.
How many weeks in was the birthday?
It
Like how much time?
was-
Like 5 weeks?
I have an answer. 2 weeks
Okay, 2 weeks. What can Integrity get done then?
after she spent all her money.
After
All
yeah,
that
exactly.
money.
After spent all her money, Integrity went to the woodworking shop, grabbed a couple of wood, and used some of her rope to make a sign for outside the door saying, "I'm busy, please come back later."
Oh wait, I love that too. What the heck? All my crafty friends. My gosh, I love
I
it.
also
Yeah.
picked some flowers for Sarah.
Aw.
You know,
Aw,
happy birthday.
That's so nice.
I love
that's
flowers.
so nice. Luke, pick an NPC. What did they get Serenep? You only get one, though.
Okay. Delnis, like a shoe rack. A little wire shoe rack.
shoe
She
rack.
got you a,
Yeah, that
a
makes
silver
sense.
wire
that's
shoe
nice.
rack for the hallway,
Yeah, like when you're walking in, because Serenep absolutely will not let you wear shoes when you walk through her.
Of course,
home.
no one. That's not a thing here in our world setting. To be clear, us as Canadians, it goes through the world too. We take the shoes off when you come
Yeah.
inside the house.
Yep.
We're civilized people here, Nathan.
I didn't know you guys were. I didn't know y'all are claiming this as a Canadian thing.
Well, I live in
I
Canada.
don't
It's a thing we
think-
do.
You say that, and like when we first moved in, you kept not taking your shoes off and wearing them around.
Is that why it's so rigorous now?
Yeah. It's not only Canadian,
Just
but
because
it's nice
I'm
to have
American.
it here.
I have one final thing, which is we finally have a mentor who cares.
Yes.
Percent.
Cares.
Oh, how dare you?
It's insane. I love it.
He did a bunch of quote marks for you, the audience who can't
Luke?
see. Yes.
Is Dessa being like, it's time to squash beef? Is that you being like, there are a ton of loose ends between these groups, I need to tie them up now? Or is it Dessa being like, I am no nonsense?
Both. Yes, both.
Hell yeah.
Both. A lot of loose ends. We need to address these things. I've been tasking Carla for months. The audience has been saying, when is Integrity going to give Marundine his snacks and what he deserves? They've been asking for years, actually, at this point. Gotta get that out of the way. There's been weird Mira Dean hate for ages and forever, and we squashed the beef. It doesn't exist anymore. We're gonna move on.
That's how human relationships work.
Yes.
Yeah, Dessa understands how people work. It's just, if we say the beef is squashed,
It's
it's squashed.
There you go.
I am loved in my brain. I had set up this situation where she starts talking about how there's hard feelings between the group, and I was like, I really hope someone in the one of the players is gonna take that and like glare at someone they have beef with. And Sarah did that, and it like cascaded into me being able to do like the visual of the scene
Everybody's
I wanted to do.
side-eyeing everybody.
Everyone's side-eyeing everybody. Karina being absent, and that absence side-eyeing everyone. And then Winsler and Veldon being like, we're just little guys that are here, and we're fine.
I also love the fact that Integrity does not have any beef. It's just like I owe someone some.
You owed him snacks?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you might have owed him beef. You know, some
I do adore Dessa's more upfront, and this is the alternate reality we could have had, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is what could have been if they lost the duel or just chose to go with Dessa. Is this like no nonsense dwarven woman being like, this is the thing. It's gonna be super easy. Don't want you guys get into any trouble for the next 10 weeks. Give me an easy life, and I'll make your guys' life easy, right? It's just. You know,
that is a very different than artists. Like, how does Swim feel about Dessa? Especially like if we're just assuming like, all right, these 10 weeks are gonna go fairly smooth with her. Like, you keep up your obligations, she keeps up her side. I'm sure we all really like artists.
Yeah.
He wasn't a good mentor.
Yeah.
No, I would say he was even a bad mentor.
He was
Bad
very
mentor.
like wishy-washy when it came to like as our mentor, like what can we do? Like what can we do? Like what's your responsibility with us? And it was like, bye.
Yeah.
And now Dessa's
If
like,
I die,
hey, you're the
just
stuff.
bring me back to life
Yeah.
so I can go on a vacation immediately
Exactly. Like,
afterwards.
but I honestly appreciate that Dessa is like, okay, you guys haven't had a structure really with the school at this point.
Yeah.
Here's the structure, and I'm like, thank you.
Mira likes Dessa fine, but it's also just that grumbling of having to do work that isn't music. Like, now I have to actually do
wash
stuff
eggs.
with my mentorship.
Yeah, actual research I remember early on there was in the class selection, it was like, now that you have a mentor, you must dedicate like 5 hours a week to doing the mentor things. And artist just never had research projects because he's a fucking loser. And now Nessa being like, okay, you guys actually have to fucking pitch in and do the work now. And in return, when stuff happens, I will help you out, right? Yeah.
But also don't.
But also don't leave campus. Don't go looking for trouble.
I can help you with things, but like, as in like, maybe like study things, but don't like uproot a great evil
She
or
can
some
help
stuff
you
like
with
that.
Other stuff. Don't worry. She can help with other stuff.
Okay.
Sorry, we're not gonna quit something that we're good at, which is getting into
Yeah,
trouble.
it's true.
Yeah. I love the fact that the moment we left, it's like, so when are we leaving next? When are we leaving campus?
That is, though, something that I wanted to ask Carla, you about, because, like, you and artists have this tie to the orbs. I don't know if that, like, factors into, like, your evaluation of Dessa, especially in comparison to artists. Like, we make fun of artists being a loser and all of that, but, like, dude's been carrying around what I guess are, like, is the one ring, but if the one ring, like, corrupted you if you ever got away from it. So, like, that's gotta be, you know, he's carrying around a 4-inch diameter orb everywhere he goes. That gets tiring for a noodle-armed guy like artists.
That's very interesting because yeah, like there's like that connection. There's like this like a mentorship in that way because you know, like you're dealing with this magical creature that artist has had more experience with than you. Like you're the newer person in the bunch. So there is like that form of mentorship, but I feel like there can still be a relationship there even if like Dessa was like our mentor. Like I don't think I'm like fully, you know, like anti-Dessa only artists.
That's a shame. I was really hoping anyone here would be like,
Fuck
Dessa.
her.
Nah.
But the thing is that Dessa was the only viable alternate option for
sure.
artists. She was the one that like everyone kind of liked or at least got along with, versus like Fenwick, who insulted everyone's major and said,
Yeah.
you should be doing maps and divination. And then fucking like Yexum was just
course.
crusty old man that no
Would've
one
been
liked for
Yexum.
no reason.
He
Yexum
needs
would've
to
been
drink.
great.
He needs to like consume water on a regular basis.
Imagine Nesca bites Mira's arm off, and Yexum goes, "I've been through this process. Let me give you some pointers. It's gonna be okay, kiddo." Right? Like that's a good. That could also be good, guys.
No, I
That's
think
an
his
ultimate-
crusty skin drops would have landed on Mir's arm.
Are you sure his arm just didn't fall off because of how
God,
fucking broken?
That's not how
and
people work. That's not how old people work. It got bit off by Frog Human.
But it
It's
is-
canon.
Yeah, that's how old gnomes work.
Yeah, we don't know.
Yeah,
If Winslow gets old enough, he too will lose an arm someday.
Starts losing arms. They just pop off.
Yeah, it's just how it works.
This is a note I'll make before I presume we finish up.
yeah.
Is you mentioned, Nathan, having artists being like kind of not great as a mentor, right? Which is something that I've always been very keyed in on, and that's of my opinion as well. He isn't a good mentor, and he probably should have not have been in the mentorship program at large. And I, in
What
my
a little weasel.
non-canonical musings of creation, which is to say one fic I wrote for a friend for their birthday or for Christmas or something, did so imply that for Fidan should have been or would have been like the great perfect mentor for this group of kids, and instead it's the guy who's left behind, which is the consistent thing with artists. He is here to try to do his best and mostly fail at that, die, and then run off into the desert on a sabbatical.
God. But here's a question though: is it intentional to make him bad at mentorship? Like, or was it just like, oh, you discovered as you played artist that, oh, he's kind of inept?
But half and half, because he was always supposed to be kind of like cloistered away little scholarly guy who didn't really like do that much or have that much good mentoring, like good life experience to pass on, right? Like he's obviously been at this fucking school since he became a student, and he's not gone out into the world. These students don't have just desires to become academics. They want to go on and do other things, and they would either need help with mentorship in that regard or in like the personal regard of like growing as a person when you go away to university or a higher learning school and like learning who you are more as a person, and having a mentor figure to like look to for guidance in that regard would be good. And him being bad at that because this is all he's ever done and he doesn't have that many like human or personal connections is like, that is deliberate. The depth to which he is bad at that and the way it plays out as this kind of like awkward lack of skill, that is what developed over the course of playing artists.
Much appreciated on giving me that elucidation. But one final note from me, and I assume from the rest of the community at large after this most recent episode comes out, which is thank you so much for giving the students 10 weeks of downtime, because now the fanfiction writers can actually do like
So much
they're hanging
space.
out at school together, like little like slice of life stuff. We can finally have that.
Yes.
We're all gonna go nuts.
People can also go nuts about like the adventures of the trio of Diplin, Diana, and Crusher.
Yeah.
Oh,
And,
boy.
we don't know how that story ends. Oh.
Campaign 2, baby.
Yeah, each of us
wait
gets to
for-
pick one of those characters and like
Yeah.
One of us plays the boat that
Yeah,
can talk.
yeah.
Well, and another fun thing for the fans to like go crazy about is leaving a review on their podcatcher of choice.
Yeah.
5 stars.
5
This is a 5-star
stars.
podcast. And if you disagree, don't leave a review. Unless you're trying to give us 6 stars, in which case, hack into those Apple servers, baby. Give us those 6 stars. But hey, listen, that's the easiest way to show your support, you know? The single easiest way is to just leave a quick 5-star rating and review on your podcatcher of choice. But let's say you have a little money to throw around. Let's say you went to the limb recently and walked out a little bit richer. First of all, we got a Patreon, baby.
Yeah.
Trials and Trebs.
Whoa.
Hit us up. Give us money every month. Or you can even do a yearly donation.
Can.
Just do one big lump sum, and then it goes right into my pockets.
Okay.
If the bonus content, if getting this show early, maybe that isn't like nice enough for you, or maybe you like that, but you want even more Trials and Treb stuff, you can give us even more money by going to trebmerch.com.
Trebmerch.com.
Tremors.com.
Yeah. if you go to trebmerch.com, you can exchange your currency for art goods, which include stickers,
Yes.
shirts,
Yes. That's it.
Sticker shirts.
stickers and shirts. Here's the thing about trebmerch.com. We do not limit you to just buying either a sticker or a shirt. You can purchase both in one order.
Wait, really?
It's crazy.
Holy shit.
Whoa.
Yeah, just go to trebmerch.com, add both, an Ascend shirt to your basket, add the Delra sticker to your basket, then hit checkout.
It's just that easy.
Give us your credit card information. But
Put it in the comment at the bottom. man.
No, don't do that.
No, don't.
all of this to say,
Yes.
thank you so much for your support. But, money is tight. Totally get that. Maybe you lost all your money at Lim. Still don't go there. Even if you lose, that you're still helping them. You should, follow us on Instagram at Trials and Trebs. We have teasers. We have both art from Sam, and then we also have fan art, and then we also
Yes.
commission artists.
Yes.
And we show off their work. Check it out. It is great stuff.
And if you make any art, please, by all means, tag us in it. Or
Tag us
go to
now.
our Discord and post it there so that we can see it and talk about it and really
It's
rave and
true.
love it.
If you want to go to the Discord, there's a link to that in this episode
Yes.
description. All you have to do is click on it.
If you happen to be an artist and you join the Discord, it's a great way to stroke your ego.
Yeah. you'll gain a bunch of fans, yes.
People love art of
It's-
these
It's
guys.
great. I love art.
So I love art, and I consider this podcast the greatest art of all.
6 stars.
And I'm sure you do too.
This is the
dear
longest
listener.
outro
Thank
ever.
you.
This is every
No, this is
We're all
about
just dying
this is about
of
normal
fear.
for Nathan.
All
outro.
right, we're good, right?
Yeah,
We're good.
that's it.
We can sign off. Great.